So a little better. Oh, there we go. And yeah, there she is, giving me the evil eye or something. Anyway, hello there. I hope everybody's doing well and you're having a good week and hope everything's not terribly bad, that it's a really great day. Maybe you got caught by some of the thoughts I put on as when I was writing this or what you might have read before you logged into this. But I wanted to talk today about feelings and how they're connected to habits because they are connected to habits, even though you may not be aware of it. So just bear with me for a minute while I try a little experiment, okay? May not seem immediately as if it's going to have a point to it, but just stay with me. Okay, so you're sitting there wherever you are, or maybe you're driving or something, wherever you are right now, take a few seconds to think about something bad or sad that has happened to you. Something that happened that you didn't like that made you upset in some way, shape, or form, whether you were angry or sad or depressed or anxious or in some way, some kind of negative reaction. Think about how you're feeling about that right now. Can you feel it? Where do you feel it? What are the feelings you're having? Okay. Now, change your mind and think somehow of something that really made you feel really, really good. It got you excited and you were just overjoyed about something. And if you can't think of anything immediately, try and think about something like maybe suddenly getting a check for $10,000 or winning the lottery or something like that. How would you feel in that particular set of circumstances? Maybe if you're engaged, somebody was going to marry you, or maybe you were going to get divorced or whatever. Something that's going to be good and you're feeling really good about it, feeling on top of the world. Okay. How do you feel? What are the emotions you're feeling? Where do you feel it? Okay. Now, what I want you to stop and think about is, well, first of all, come back to me now. Wherever you are, come back. Okay. Pay attention to where I'm going from right at this moment. Think about what just happened. You're here listening to me, whatever's going on, and suddenly you went from being somewhat upset to being very happy in a relatively short period of time, and nothing went wrong around it, right? You're just sitting here. Let's just assume here and assume that you're, in the computer or maybe the dining room table or maybe even in the kitchen listening to me, whatever. And you went from those particular emotions from back and forth, and now you're here. I'm going to get a little nerdy on you, just a little bit, not much. Emotions are essentially a physical reaction that you get. Something happens. Like in this case, I said, think about something good that happened to you. So all I just said was think about something good. Your body kicked in and released a few chemicals and sent some chemicals through your body, and you had those pleasurable feelings. When something triggers the negative reaction, your body does the same thing and releases those chemicals that give you that negative reaction. When something happens and you notice whatever during the course of your day, week, whatever, and they trigger an idea in you, a thought in you, whether it's good or bad, your body is going to kick in without your awareness, without your permission. It just does it anyway and sends out all those chemicals to your body, and you feel those particular behaviors. Got it? Think about it. Because hopefully, if you're back here with me now, you're sitting there saying, or maybe scratching your head and saying, what in the hell is she talking about? So you're not where you were a few minutes ago when I had you go through the two other emotions, right? Your body is doing this to you. I want you to stop to think about how quickly you change those emotions and how you got out of them. So that when you're doing that, it's your body's triggering those things against your will, so to speak, and puts you into those particular states. Now, the other thing to notice is look at how quickly it happened and how quickly you got out of it. So when you think about emotions and you're thinking about these big fancy things that last forever or whatever, get you all sorts of stuff, whatever that may be, good or bad, it's related to the fact that you've got some chemical reactions going on in your body. And I don't even know what all those reactions are, but I just know that was what happens. Your body, your mind triggers something and you get into those reactions. Okay? Follow me? With me? This is what happens when you start thinking about that habit you don't like. Okay? So you're wanting something. Maybe you're wanting a cigarette. Maybe you want the bag of Doritos. Maybe you want whatever it is. Your mind starts to say something. It forces your brain into kicking out those emotions. And then you pick up those emotions and things go downhill usually from there. But if you think about the fact that just here you went through several emotions and in and out and done and it's gone. You do have some control over those emotions and you can stop and recognize the fact of, oh, gee, I'm unhappy or I just got upset about this. And if you sit there long enough, usually it's just in a couple of minutes, and start thinking about something else, those particular emotions will die and they'll wander away. Okay? Just the way they did when I started this a little earlier. So that when you're getting back to your habit, see, I'm bringing it back to the habit like I told you I would. When you're thinking about whatever it is and you're getting those negative reactions, your brain is kicking those negative chemicals into you and you're sitting there thinking about it, which means your brain is going to produce those chemicals, which is going to produce the chemicals even more. And so you get into that downward spiral. So if your brain is producing all those chemicals, usually negative because you're doing something that you don't want to do, how do you expect to really be able to pick yourself up in that situation and change the behavior? So when you start feeling those negative reactions, sit back, in a sense, literally sit back or stand back or whatever, depending on what you're doing, and recognize that this too shall pass. Give yourself a couple of minutes. Let those chemicals rush through your body and then do whatever they do and they're gone. And then you're back to, quote, normalcy, whatever that is for you, at which point you can therefore take a look at whatever it is you're about to do and decide what you want to do next. So let's take the standard Doritos, which hopefully I don't get sued by Doritos, and I'm going to have to change it. Let's just say chips, okay? I'll try and remember to do that. So you're there trying to think in terms that you want the bag of chips, and you're saying, I'm starving, I'm hungry, if I'm going to feel bad if I eat them, whatever's going through your head. Recognize the fact that your brain is producing all those chemicals. Look at those particular feelings, let that pass, and then sit there and say, okay, that's done. It's finished. Now what am I going to do about that? And then sit there and say, okay, I've got this bag of chips. Is this something I really, really want to do? Do I really want to eat it? So when you're sitting there with, in a sense, your logic and your rational mind going on and the emotions are gone, you're more likely to make a better choice. Does this make sense? If you stop to think about it, there have been plenty of times in your life when you've gone from high to low relatively quickly, and even sometimes you don't even recognize what's going on and why you're doing it. Your brain is, in a sense, hijacking you, if you will, and doing that because you've made some kind of thought which triggers your brain into doing that. And by the time you get through those emotions, your ideas may be off on a totally different tangent, but you're still feeling the emotions you did when you first triggered that whole process, right? Okay. Is this beginning to see where I'm coming from now? So the reason I'm talking about emotions is that when you're looking at that habit, and I hope you've figured out which habit you want to look at right now, or in the past you've looked at what habit you're going to look at. When you do something or start to do that habit, or you think about that habit, what are the emotions that you're going through? Stop, address those, sort of like look at them like, okay, there they are. What am I looking at? How does it, feel? What does this make me feel? Where is it coming from, or whatever, depending on how much you want to go into, and say, okay, that's nice, and then ditch them. Because if you put your mind onto something else, the emotions will go, and then you can start looking at things in a much more calm, clear way, and you don't have to get caught up by those things, which then triggers more behaviors and usually more negative reactions, and you end up doing something that you don't want to do in the first place. Does this make sense? So take a look at the habit. What are the emotions that get you triggered? And start looking at the idea that you don't have to do that if you just wait a couple of minutes. And we're not talking an hour or 30 minutes, like that. We're just talking a couple of minutes. And it'll give you a chance to get back into a more rational, logical standpoint in which you'll be able to do something and make better choices. Try it this week. Let me know what happened. Okay? So send me something and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I thought about it. This is how I felt. And here I am. And I went on and made a better choice and it's gone. It's not necessarily that easy all the time, but the more you begin to understand what's going on, the easier it is to begin to break that habit. Okay. If this is helping, let me know. If you're confused, let me know. I would appreciate your knowledge about, where you're coming from with all this. I really would. Okay. So we'll see you later and we'll talk about this again next week. And hopefully you're curious about what I'm going to say next week. I'm curious about what I'm going to say next week too. We'll find out together. Okay. All right. I hope you have a good week and we'll say bye and chat with you later. Okay.